Hey, Garage Gym athletes, before we get started, I wanted to let you know we are upping our Instagram game so we can better educate the industry. The goal is to drown out the influencers in bro science that is social media. If you want to help, screenshot this podcast episode and tag us at Garage Gym Athlete and a friend in your Instagram stories. We'd love to connect, and we will even be sending some free merch to a select few who actually take us up on this 15-second task. So go get it done, and I look forward to connecting with you. All right, now to the show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Doing good? Yeah,
Pretty good.
Let's skip the intros. Let's just get straight to work. Trampus, how's life, man?
Still alive. So, biggest update is I'm still alive.
Bare minimum. Making that small bar.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the requirements for even being on part of the team.
Yeah, probably the most important one.
Yeah.
But
alive.
doing good. I'm recovering pretty well. I'm getting very, very tired of following all of the doctor's recommendations though. And
what do they know?
Well, it depends on the doctor you speak to, apparently, because I was given the green light by a doctor to do he told me to do it vested, but I honestly didn't want it, like rubbing against my incision, but like start walking with a little bit of weight, just to, up the stimulus a little bit, get a little bit more.
I think the 5-pound thing is just unrealistic.
It really is. I mean,
it's like, hey, my recommendation is actually don't go live your life for the next. And I'm not talking about lifting weights. I'm just talking about groceries, kids, anything.
Well, I definitely couldn't do
moving a chair.
Like one gallon of water is 8 pounds, right? So I mean, what are we doing here? It's not possible.
So I took about a 15-pound rucksack, put it on, and walked a couple miles the other day, and then I've been playing with the kids, starting to roughhouse a little bit better. But honestly, I feel really good. I'm probably like 95%. It's mostly just some irritation at this point. So still don't want to mess anything up. I don't want to open anything up and get infected. But I'm doing good. Other than that, the other big update is my kid's soccer games have started, and that's always fun because he's flying around the soccer field, and he got a goal last week during his first game.
Nice.
So it's fun to watch.
So Jerred, I think you can relate.
And does that mean I go next?
Yeah, why not? That's a segue right there.
It's weird. Okay, I'll go second. I don't know what to do with my hands, but yeah, definitely. We have so many practices, soccer. It's like a positive thing and a negative thing. Like I'm glad that they're on sports, but having 3 kids and all in 2 sports is just busy. And so I think I'm looking forward to when like the school takes over. And like they do practice at school, and I just have to show up for the games and not every single practice. But no, it's great. I don't know if I mentioned this, but Graham started bigger field soccer. Like I don't know what to call it. Like and he's our soccer player. Eleanor plays, but she's only 4 or whatever. And so that has been a lot of fun because he's actually playing like different positions now, and it's more like an actual sport and not like kickball or whatever. Because he would seriously score 13 goals in a game when there was the no goalie version of soccer that they forced the kids to play. And now that they play real soccer, it doesn't get that out of hand. It's like 3-1 or like 4-1. Like we did beat one team 8-1, but that one got out of hand. But every other game has been like pretty good.
So how old is he? He's like 9 or 8?
He's 8, yeah.
He's 8. Well, Nicholas is doing 8 and under too. And so they've got goalies, and for most of the game, he's back on defense because he's not the fastest kid out there, but he's definitely the biggest. But they did put him up, like, I guess it's striker. I honestly don't know a lot about soccer, but he was up front playing striker, and he just sort of manhandled his way through there with that soccer ball and kicked it in. So it's kind of awesome.
Knocking people over. There's a lot of that going on now. Did I mention I picked up pickleball in the last episode?
I saw a Instagram story about you. Pickleball has been all over the place lately, and I keep hearing about it on different podcasts, on different posts, and I still don't even know what the hell pickleball is.
All right. So we gotta. I mean, we could probably dedicate a full episode to this because I think it's just gonna be the new sport that I play. And the only real reason is because other people are playing it, and I'm like, hey, friends. Like it's hard to get people to like find someone to like play tennis or racquetball. I really enjoy racket sports. Like that's my favorite type
that in
of sport
college,
that
right,
I
didn't you?
play. Yeah, I did it in college. And anyway, it's essentially tennis on a shorter. You play on a tennis court, but you play on a shorter court. They shortened a little bit. The rules are a little more like racquetball rules, and you have essentially a paddle, like a giant ping pong paddle, and you play with a wiffle ball as opposed to like a real ball or a real racket. So you have a giant ping pong paddle and a wiffle ball. But really, if you're good at tennis or racquetball, 100% transfer. Because that was the first time I played it, and my friend, I was like, "How many times you played?" He's like, "I probably played 40 times. You're gonna like, it's gonna be tough for you." I was like, "All right, cool." And then I just like whooped his ass every single time. I was like, "Dude, I played a lot of tennis and racquetball. Like, I'm all good. Let's do it. Let's play. When we get back, let's just play. I want to play." So that's my new sport, pickleball. It's a lot of fun.
I feel like
That's
I need
it.
to try it out. I just don't know when,
Yeah.
where, and how.
Well, it's funny. Most of like the tennis courts around here, because it's not a conversion, it's like a new line. Like that's it. Like you just add like a new line to the back because the court's not as long for pickleball. And so most of the courts around in this area have already done that. They added like a pickleball line and you can play either. And then I forgot the name of it. There's this new place I live in Dallas area, Grapevine area has I think it's called like, I don't want to guess because I'll make it probably sound inappropriate, but they serve chicken sandwiches and pickles and you play pickleball. So
Sounds like a fantastic place to me.
no, it's great. You play pickleball and you eat chicken sandwiches. So, but for some reason, the name of the place in my head is inappropriate, so that's why I'm not saying it out loud. And I don't even know.
I think I got it. Well, I'll guess later. If you want to guess, throw us a comment on either
just let
YouTube
us
or
know.
in our Facebook group.
But anyway, yeah, that's it. Life wise for me, training as normal. I love pickleball. Hope to play it more. And Joe, how are you doing?
Good. Yeah. So we over Labor Day we went to Lake Tahoe. Did some hikes. It was a good time. Enjoyed Tahoe. First time there. Kind of actually like that wasn't work related when we went for the podcast thingy a couple years ago. Got back and right away I had to go to my drill weekend. So like I live in Monterey now. Temperatures are like in the 70s. When I went to go to my drill, it was just outside of Sacramento, north of Sacramento. The day I was there and the 3 days after were like 110 plus heat wise. So I saw this comment. I was like, okay, every time I go up to my drills, I try and run because like being on an Air Force base, there's always like pretty good run paths because the Air Force bases are just huge. And this one has a really good one. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go run, but I'll do it first thing in the morning. And it was still 90 degrees, but I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this run. And after the run, like 90 some degrees, just maybe not being heat acclimated or not drinking enough water. Cause a lot of times when I travel, especially like driving, I don't like to drink a lot of water because I get annoyed if I have to pull over to go to the bathroom. I just want to like drive and be there. But besides the point. Yeah. So after my run, I did like a 5 mile. Most of it was zone 2. And I think I got borderline heat exhaustion or something that day.
Yeah.
I was like, I kind of couldn't cool down. Like I wasn't like super, super hot. Our office the AC wasn't working all that well anyway. So the office was like 85 degrees anyway. But for the rest of the day, I was like pounding so much water. I didn't have any appetite. I was definitely exhausted. And like I usually drink out of kind of like a hydro flask, but it's called an Owala. Same thing, insulated, 32 ounces, 32-ounce bottle. I think I drank at least four of those during the day, plus like a 16-ounce thing of electrolytes, which I will say I didn't have much water in the morning. I usually I only had my electrolytes like right before I left for my run. And other than that, I was fasted. I didn't have any food, but I don't think that really mattered that much. But yeah, the rest of the day, drank a ton of water. Before I went to bed, I was probably working on my 5th one. So we're talking 140 plus ounces of water.
Dang.
Didn't have to wake up at all at night to pee, which normally I could drink half of much water and would still have to get up. Woke up the next morning, very dark urine, which I mean, I don't know if that's TMI, but yeah, very dark. Still was not feeling great. I think I had a dull, like kind of like radiating headache on the left side of my head for most of the day.
Damn. I don't know for a heat exhaustion or heat stroke.
Yeah, you may have had a stroke.
Yeah, like it was like a dull headache around my temple, but then every once in a while there would be just like this shooting pain that went down my face.
Yeah, that sounds like a stroke. I mean,
yeah. Okay, cool. I just broken out. So the next morning I was still like felt run down, kind of. So all right, first thing while I'm still in my hotel room, drank some electrolytes, drank another 32-ounce thing, had some food, and by lunchtime I felt normal again. I was fine, but like all of my recovery metrics were off. I think my resting heart rate was up about three or four beats. Actually, I think it was closer to 5 beats. My respiratory rate was high. My heart variability was low. All these things, but I was just completely done. So yeah, that was fun.
Let that be a lesson to everyone out there. Hydrate.
Yeah. I did work out again that day because by lunch I was like, cool, I'm feeling good again. I'll just go do some strength stuff. I did a circuit.
I love that mentality. The circuit, perfect.
Yeah, because I felt fine, but I did a circuit, and the circuit I even had like breaks in it, but there was still like a 500-meter row part of the circuit. That thing about killed me. Like even during, I was just like my heart rate wasn't coming down. I felt like my breaks. It was really hard to breathe more than it should have. And after the workout, I was like, that was probably a dumb idea. I think I just worked way too hard after that other day. And by the third day, my recovery was super low. I was like, yeah, it wasn't doing too good. Like if you, for those with Garmin, I don't know, Jerred, what's the lowest body battery you've woken up with before? But I woke up and my body battery, yeah, my wake up body battery was 58 after the third day.
After the second that before,
third day. Yeah. So yeah, that was my brush with heat and not drinking very much. So, word to the wise, drink some water, that is.
Ahead of time.
Yeah, ahead of time, not after the fact, because even after the fact, it was too late. It was just completely done.
Yeah, you were trying to catch up, but it didn't matter.
Yeah, once you've had a stroke, no amount of water.
Yeah.
We're not medical professionals, but well, all right. Well, let's get into the study. Speaking of pretending to be medical professionals, Joe, should I mention the difference in the podcast? I mean, I really feel like I should, since things are a little bit different this week.
Yeah,
we're at the beginning. So we are kind of breaking up the podcast this week into new segments. We'd love some feedback. So we typically do our updates, and then we'll get into a study and then a topic and Meet Yourself Saturday workout, and then we'll peace out, right? So we're just kind of breaking it up to where we're going to do our updates, we're going to do the study, and then we will cover the Meet Yourself Saturday, but that's going to kind of end today's episode. And then the future episode, we will later in the week will be introduction or the topic, sorry, and then that's it basically. So anyway, that's what we're doing. We always love feedback from the community, so like it, hate it, let us know, but maybe not after just 1 week. Like, just try it out. I know change is hard sometimes. Try it out a few weeks, and if you're like, you know what, I still hate it, let us know. But if you love it, you can share that feedback right away. But let's get into the study. So this study is called, it kind of ruins it. I hate it when the study just ruins it. Gives us no like.
It was literally the last line of like the discussion or like the summary.
Yeah. So the name of the study is High Doses of Anti-Inflammatory Drugs Compromise Muscle Strength and Hypertrophic Adaptations to Resistance Training in Young Adults. So really what they were doing, I mean, it shouldn't be a huge surprise, but it's cool that we're going over it. So they took high doses of NSAIDs and they took them for 8 weeks. I think there were 31 people in the study, men and women, 18 to 35. They did this weird thing where they trained one leg one way, trained another leg another way, and then they compared the groups. I thought they were going to have each person act as their control, but I don't think that's what happened. It was just group difference. Some people were given NSAIDs, the other people were given some sort of acid, essentially like a placebo or something like that. The dosage was 1,200 milligrams. I don't know if I mentioned that. And ultimately, it blunts muscle growth by twofold. Was the biggest takeaway. Was like, oh, okay, that's not good if you're trying to like get some gains, like some actual like packing on the muscle. And I think it's good to cover because I've known a lot of people, and I'm not talking about some random person who's like, I'm going to work out today. I haven't worked out in 10 years. they get really sore, take ibuprofen. I'm talking about a lot of like athletes who train really hard and have take ibuprofen after the fact to counteract pain or soreness or, whatever. A lot of time it might not even be muscular soreness. It might be joint pain or something like that they're trying to avoid. And you could be one of those people. I know we have a lot of athletes out there listening, and you might want to know why you maybe shouldn't take ibuprofen post-workout. But yeah, what did you think about the study, gentlemen? And we can dive into it some more.
Trip, we'll go.
Yeah, sure. I thought it was interesting that they did what, like a knee extension or something like that, a leg extension. Then they did the different intervention for each one, like so you're training
legs. Yeah,
you're training your legs different over 8 weeks.
They at least equated the volume
weird.
though.
Well,
which was good.
I guess as far as the study goes, that is good because they averaged it out and that's what they went with. But as far as the human having to do the study, I thought that would be odd. But reading through the study, I don't think this is a big surprise to any of us, especially since the title is what it is. But
really,
a lot of it depended on the age of the person and the dosage, because apparently there was another study that did it with older individuals, and that actually helped them get stronger or at least grow more muscle. And that goes into my next point, is like, I feel like they focused a lot on just muscle growth as opposed to actually like measurable strength. A lot of it was their MRI, was how they would determine whether you got stronger or not. But it was really just more muscle growth. But they do even talk about how they're not always necessarily tied together. So they at least tried to cover that base a little bit.
Yeah, I've come to the conclusion that you can, if you weightlift, if you lift heavy things, it's really hard for the body to not adapt and get stronger, because I feel like we've covered a lot of studies where they look at that specific thing in hypertrophy, which is muscle growth, and strength gains, which is just like absolute strength, how much more weight you can lift. They're always very different. And hypertrophy seems to be like a little kitten that needs to be coddled. And it's like very, very, particular parameters. Like, you really got to take care of it. You gotta have your calories right, and like all these things. Strength is not that way. Strength is like, have a beer before, 2 beers after, crack your knuckles for the warm up, and you're still going to get stronger. Like, It's very hard for strength to truly be affected in any kind of major way.
Yeah, and I've even heard you say, like, you get so wrapped around like getting stronger means that you're going to have more muscle, but there could be other changes to the muscle that aren't just size. I think you've even said like density.
Yes, old man strength. That's like why old men are strong, and they don't look like these gigantic bodybuilders. They've just lived life longer, and they learn how to use their muscles better than younger dudes.
Right. The other things just interesting, and this is from the very beginning. They said, NSAIDs were the one of the most consumed drugs on the planet, and we know very little about how it actually affects your recovery. And especially with how many athletes use ibuprofen to and after a workout. Like, very few studies have been done on this. I know this was 2017, so maybe there have been more since. But like,
I think they're scary, to be honest. I mean, it's like bad for your kidneys, and I got sent a study a long time ago where. And I don't know if there's any truth to this, and this is not what we're covered today, so everyone do their own research. But it was like for every dose you take of ibuprofen, there was like an increased risk in Alzheimer's. And I was like, I'm out. Like, I'm not touching it. And so I really I never take ibuprofen. I'd have to be in some like legit pain, like super legit pain. I used to get headaches like back in the day, but like I think that doesn't really happen anymore. So I really don't have much of a reason to take one, and we can save that kind of stuff for later. But ultimately, I think that they're kind of scary, to be honest. I mean, I don't know if the benefit ever outweighs the cost with these things.
Yeah, it's been mentioned in a few nutrition books that we've read. I mean, again, just going off the NSAIDs, that it affects your small intestine. So that's one of the notes I put down, is that you still have to consider your gut, and there's other ramifications for NSAIDs. I also very rarely take them. I'll either have to have like a decent sized headache or some sort of, man flu type situation and I've started to side with Tylenol because I think ibuprofen is allegedly the worst one to take out of all of them
Yeah,
versus
I mean, they all have
Tylenol.
their like side effects, right?
Yeah.
Which one's worse? I think maybe it is Tylenol. It's worse for the kidneys. I don't remember. Maybe the same. I don't know.
Well, Tylenol, and I only know this because we had sort of a scare. Like we walked out to the garage, and one of the kids had gotten into a bottle of Tylenol and it was laying everywhere.
Mm.
And I guess with ibuprofen, like it's probably not good long term, but in the short term, you can't like OD on it. Like your body's just going to use what it needs or doesn't need and gets rid of. But Tylenol like will kill you very
Yeah, I
quickly if
think a
you
lot of
eat
people die
too
from
many of
Tylenol
those.
every single year. Yeah.
So, and it was a very horrifying moment for us because
For sure.
how did he get in this bottle, and then how many did this 2.5-year-old eat?
Yeah, that's scary.
There's definitely a panicky situation.
And you're gonna finish that story up. How many did he eat?
We didn't know. I don't. It didn't, he's still alive.
Okay.
We don't think he ate any. We don't think he ate any, and the reason I feel like this is I like crushed one up and put it on my tongue. And I was like, there is no way this kid chewed these up because he wouldn't have swallowed it. He would have chewed it up. There's no way this kid would have chewed this up and continued to eat them. We didn't think. We watched him. He was fine. Tough kid. But
yeah.
Joe, you got anything else for the study? You talked a little bit. But...
Yeah. So you said a few times that like the title gives it away, but the more I read into the study, the more I thought some things were kind of interesting because they kind of hid certain things. So like the main takeaway was that it was muscle size. So it was just hypertrophy. So if you're doing hypertrophy, your muscle size is going to get bigger. That doesn't necessarily mean you're any stronger at all. So there was no strength difference that they found between the groups. Peak power increased a little bit in the non-ibuprofen group, and there was a small acute effect on ibuprofen, like in the short term, for I guess people were recovering better, so they could go a little more intense. But toward the end of the study, it leveled off, and the benefits were gone, and they pretty much just didn't have any sort of a benefit for taking them. It just seemed like it was habitual. So that it was like good to see, or I guess the main takeaway that they kind of highlighted was still not like that detrimental to me. And 1,200 milligrams is a lot. Normally, a serving size is 800. I think it tells you on the bottle, it's like don't take more than 800 in like within 8 hours or something. And the military, their prescription of always prescribing 800 milligram ibuprofen or Motrin, vitamin M. Yeah, no matter what you have, you're just going to get 800 milligram Motrin or ibuprofen, and then here you go. Just we'll see what happens. It doesn't matter what it is. This will make you better.
My surgeon must have been in the military. But go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Got anything stronger, Doc?
Yeah, no. So that's there was 1,200 milligrams is a lot. If you're taking that much, then that like you're for starters, you're not going to get that much. You're not going to get any edge performance or gains wise, and it's just going to screw up your insides. So definitely don't take those. It's cool to see also as well these studies because of how common these things are people take. Like it's just like last year or whatever when we went over the one about allergy meds and how allergy meds were inhibiting people's gains. I don't know if it was aerobic or whatever, but it basically those
primarily aerobic. But the thing with that study was like you had to take a lot, and they were greatly exaggerating the dosage for that. So I ultimately I try not to take allergy medication as well unless I absolutely need it. But I was less concerned because I was like, well, I'm not going to take the amount that they're talking about, so I don't think it's going to have a detrimental effect. 1,200 milligrams for some people that might sound like a lot, but I honestly think people who take pain medication, that's not a crazy amount. They weren't giving people absurd amounts that no one would ever take. That's very realistic that someone could take 1,200 milligrams in a day, especially someone who has chronic pain. And I don't want to discount that fact for anyone listening who's like, well, you don't understand what it's like to be in pain. We've all had our injuries. Like my back was jacked up for 18 months. I understand some pain, maybe not to the level of my brother's in pain. Like he's in serious pain on a daily basis from some of the stuff he's been through. But even he's landed on the fact that he can't take all these pain medications all the time because it jacks up his liver. He had to come off all that stuff last year, and there's always a cost, and to get into like some of the mechanisms behind it, apparently it inhibits inflammation mediators such as prostaglandins, and they also decrease vasodilation. So you're not getting as much blood flow to the localized area. So that's part of the reason. And if it inhibits inflammation, that's generally bad. We've even talked about this with antioxidant supplements, like taking too much tart cherry or whatever. You never really want to get in the way of your body's natural process. I think that's the big takeaway for garage gym athletes. Like in the acute sense, we want our muscles to be ripped apart and get inflamed, go through the healing process, super compensate, grow bigger, grow stronger, grow faster. That's what we want. And you just don't want to do anything that gets in that way. Like it's kind of pointless to be like, I'm going to do all this weightlifting, and then while my muscle's going through its recovery process, I'm going to try and blunt that with medication. You just don't want to go down that path. It's not good for seeing results. And that's in a lot of different areas. Like I said, you can even do this with taking too many antioxidants from natural sources like tart cherry or blueberries or whatever. So don't get in the way of your body's natural process. And if you are in a lot of pain, work through it some other way. There's got to be some other way that you can get through physical therapy, a lot of other things. And even physical therapists, I'm sure you guys have heard that, like rest, ice, compression, heat, elevation. Is that it? Right. Rest, ice, compression, elevation.
Yeah.
Rice. Yeah.
Rice.
A lot of their physical therapists are saying that's BS, right? And not that it's fully BS, but they want to get away from the icing, because if you roll your ankle and it swells up, that's the body's like natural process to immobilize that joint, and you kind of want that to happen. You don't necessarily want to kill all that inflammation to where you can fully rotate this like hurt, joint. So anyway, typically you want the body to do what it does, unless you're getting away from acute and you're getting to chronic pain, chronic injury, then you might want to like go down some other road. So that's my ultimate takeaway for GGAs.
That was sort of my approach after my surgery, and I'm tired of talking about my surgery, but it's the most prevalent thing.
That's the biggest thing that's probably ever happened to you. I mean,
yeah, I mean it's pretty close. But so it was very painful. Like waking up, it was definitely pain. But I mean, they gave me Dilaudid while I was there, and that was sort of just protocol for them waking up from surgery. They said that I woke up and I said my pain was like a 4 or 5. I honestly don't remember any of this conversation, but I said, well, that was a lie, because it definitely hurt more than that. But and my wife, she's a PACU nurse. She says a lot of people will just say 10 immediately, but I consider a 10 as I've been doused with gasoline, I'm on fire. That's what I call a 10, right? That's the most pain I can imagine.
I hate those pain scales at the because they're like they really sell the 10. They're like 1 is like no pain at all, normal.
Yeah.
And then they're like 10 for them is like the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard of, like you just mentioned.
Right.
And I'm like, when you put 10 that aggressive, I'm not like just my feet are on fire at an 8, right? Like, so I'm a 4 out of 3, 2. I don't know.
So I said I'm like a 4.
We wouldn't be having this conversation right now if I was a 10.
but like my whole basis was I'm hurting for a reason. The pain, although it's there, it's manageable. It's not like I'm going into shock because there's so much pain. And if I was to take something to numb this pain, I would definitely get up and try to do more probably than I should, and cause more damage than just staying here being in a little bit of pain. And so a lot of people though, like they'll just load up on all that stuff. And I did take some ibuprofen afterwards. They gave me 650s. So I would take one, and a lot of times I would take it just because the swelling had gotten so much, and I thought that would help with some of the swelling. But it's sort of your trade-off. Like, you also use ibuprofen to break fevers. So there are times to use it and not to use it, but you just gotta, like you said, you gotta weigh the detriment and whether it's You don't want a fever of 105 if an ibuprofen to break it.
But like
Right?
some fevers are beneficial, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
also so there's like a line there. It's like when it gets too aggressive, okay, yeah, let's bring it down. But at the same, like Emily's real big on that with our kids. Like if the fever's not crazy, she's like, just let it ride.
Burn.
I don't know if our kids will end up hating us for that or whatever, but like that's how we roll. I do think our kids are gonna be very tough, mainly due to her, not me. But anyway, yeah. You guys have anything else on this one? I think we're good. I think it's a good one. Quit taking ibuprofen. That's about it.
Religiously,
yeah. Hey, quick break here. As you know, we will not accept sponsors on this podcast. We want to keep it content focused and just deliver the best we can to you. So, if you think this podcast is worth listening to, can you do me a favor and share it with one friend? I don't care how you share it. You can text it to a friend, Instagram, DM, email, or even snail mail, but I can't reimburse you for that stamp. Look, the best way for a podcast to continue to grow is word of mouth. So if you can share this episode with at least one person, I would be forever grateful. All right, back to the show. All right, and please do share the podcast. We had some reports that some people weren't actually able to tag us on Instagram when they were sharing the podcast. I think that issue has been resolved. And so we should be good to go. If you've been trying and you couldn't, we apologize. I do think that there was some sort of issue we had on our end, but I think we're all good to go now. So like I said, this week, a little bit different. So we're going to get straight to the Meet Yourself Saturday workout. And so we'll talk about that for a minute and then we will roll. So this week we are doing the EO3 5K. Should I just brief it? I mean, I have it. One of the few I probably have memorized other than like the Iron Mile. So I might screw it up though, because I am just going to do it from straight memory.
I've got it up. We'll
you just test me. Let's just test
we'll
it.
Test you for
See what I'm missing. So 6 rounds of run 800 meters. After those 800 meters, you're going to do 5, 10, 15. 3 rounds of 5, 10, 15 on the push-up, sit-up, squat. And so you have to do it in that order. So 5, 10, 15, 3 rounds. You can't add or do reps your own way, like Murph, where they say, yay, partition add as needed. No, you do it 3 rounds of 5, 10, 15. And then, so it's 6 rounds of that entire circuit. Then after that, the part that is often missed is, I think it's 3 minutes rest, run 100 meter, 1 minute rest, run 100 meter or sprint. And I think that concludes the EO3 5K. Did I miss anything?
Great job. You did a great job.
Great. There we go. Let's hash it out. Any tips? I would say the same stuff. Well, because we brief this every 12 weeks when we test it during Fit Week. But there could be new people who never heard it. So gotta
calisthenics are always done as fast as possible because they're just pretty simple and you can only do them so fast anyway, especially the sit-ups. So that's just as fast as possible. The main money maker is the run, the 800 meters. So being able to keep at a high but consistent pace on the 800 meters is basically how you have to do it versus, the first 2 running super fast and then just tanking out after that one. So each of those runs are about 90% effort.
Yeah, go with that. What do you got, Trampus?
That's literally what I wrote down. I said I tend to go faster on the cows and try to be a consistent run. Not necessarily a rest, but a consistent run. But it's one of the best. Like, it's one of my favorites because you can do it anywhere. I know. I think somebody started doing it once a week. I don't know if they finished.
Mark.
He
was just on. So as the publishing this, he was just on the podcast last Wednesday, and he did the EO3 5K once a week for. I don't know if he finished out the years or he's still on it, but also to segue from there is that Jerred, you came up with the GGA 5K, which isn't even programmed yet in Team Builder because it's kind of like just after the fact aside of what was the parameter? You had to have done the EO3 5K 3 times at least.
Well, didn't we mention this in the last time we briefed the EO3 5K? I think I brought out the GGA 5K.
This is like, how Starbucks has off the menu drinks. This is like the off the menu Meet Yourself Saturday because it's not actually programmed ever.
So do I need to pull that up? Because
Probably. Which I think Mark
put
actually did a
me
pretty
on the
good
spot
job
here,
of
but I know
framing
where
it
I
as
keep
well.
things, so I can.
I think it was like 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 squats, 20 sit-ups, something like that.
It's 3 rounds. You run 1.03 mile because why not? And then 6 sets of 5 reps pull-ups, 10 reps push-ups, 15 reps sit-ups, 20 reps squats.
It's a lot of squats.
You're running the 1.03 to get to a 5K, but ultimately, I would like to challenge anyone who's been around for a long time and you have done the EO3 5K quite a few times. Try the GGA 5K. It will be harder, and you can't do it just anywhere. You're going to need a pull-up bar.
Yeah,
and you're running. It's worse than Murph. I don't think in the calisthenics, I guess 6. No, not in the calisthenics, but in the running it is. So give it a try.
Pretty sure it's more.
Oh wait, no, it is
Air squats. More air squats.
6 sets. Oh yeah, because you're doing the 6 sets 3 times. I was just thinking of doing it once. Yeah, it's way worse than Murph.
Yeah,
and worse than the EO3 5K. So yeah, give that a try if you're a long time garage gym athlete. You're accustomed to the volume. If not, try out the EO3 5K. It's kind of harmless, to be honest. I don't think the workout. It's a lot, but it's not crazy. As far as tips, we talk about like however you want to do it, but choose your rest. Choose like you can't do this one as fast as you want to go for the entire time, because people are doing this for anywhere from like whatever 35 minutes to an hour between the fastest and the slowest times, and that's probably about where I'd time cap anyways, an hour. And you're gonna have to choose where your recovery is. And so some people like the run to be their recovery and they hit it at like 70-80%, and some people choose calisthenics to be more of a recovery, slower pace. Just pick one. You're going to have to utilize that strategy to go. If you can just go fast the entire time, that's obviously the best thing, but you got to be in EO3 5K shape to be able to do it. Like Mark doing it every single week. He probably is at the point now where he can do it as fast as he can. But if you're just doing this once every 12 weeks, you're probably not there.
Yeah. For the run, for the 1 mile, just do your 1 mile loop and then just take a lap around your house, and then you're 0.03, or like pass your house, go 2 houses down, turn around, come back, and that's 0.03 or something like that.
That'd be the hardest part, is finding out how to do a 0.03 run, but
how many meters is that? I don't even know how many meters that is.
Let's see. So I just looked it up. 1609 times 0.03, 48.27.
Not even 50. Can't even be 50 meters.
Yeah. So is that the math? Is that math jive with your math, Trampus?
I did 5,000 divided by 3 is what I did. So wouldn't they give you 1666 meters?
So I did. It's
5K.
It's 1.03 miles. 1 mile.
Oh, you took 1, it off of a 5K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're trying to.
I did it off the mile. So I just
because
0.03 times 1,609 meters is about 48.27 meters.
Because each lap.
Whatever.
Which, I guess,
it's 50 meters. It's an extra 50.
Yeah.
Whatever 50 meters is at your house, you're good to go. All right. Good luck on this one. Everyone attacking the EO3 5K. But we will roll this week. Hopefully you guys like the new format. A little bit shorter, not too much. But
topic will be on Wednesday.
Yeah, topic on Wednesday. For all our garage gym athletes out there, thank you for being awesome, listening to the podcast, being a part of the community. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and give us a review on the podcast and share it now that we have that sharing problem fixed. If you are new here, go ahead and sign up for a 14-day free trial, because we would love to have you try out the training and see if this is something that you want to be a part of long term. And you can do that at garagegymathlete.com. And that is it for this week. And remember, if you don't kill comfort, comfort will kill you. Athlete Podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.